podcast.
What up? It's your boy Chad O. Out here in LA.
Time to get lost in the subway. Thank you, Valencia. But I'm about to head on the train heading to Madrid. I'm telling about Two Boys Podcast on 13 Ghost TV. Like, subscribe, and send us a few messages. I don't hablo mucho español, but I'm doing the best I can. Peace.
All right. Good morning,
better.
good afternoon. Welcome,
editing.
everyone. Welcome. A little troubleshooting and editing. Hope you can hear us fine.
I hope you can hear us perfect. We are perfect.
We are.
We are perfect.
Well, this is Two Bros Podcast, episode 116.
God.
Wow, my oh my. Merry Christmas weekend. Happy
Is it
Kwanzaa.
116?
116. Yes.
Didn't we do 116 last time?
I'm sorry. So 117.
Dot.
Ding. When you're making so many podcasts, who knows? I forgot the
Ooh,
web,
keep track.
the last web one we did,
Right.
which was virtual,
Yes.
virtual.
We did virtual.
Yes, we did. That was 116. This is 117.
Dot.
No music groups named 117, are there?
No, there aren't.
Mm,
They should come up with one now.
a 117.
117. Bunch of old dudes.
Or how about the PS 118s?
Oh, maybe that'll be next episode.
That will be. We will be at 118. How are you, sir?
I'm doing quite well, man. How about yourself?
Oh man, just fine and dandy. Today is the second day of Kwanzaa. I think we are at Amani.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's 7 days of Kwanzaa, which everyone has tried to celebrate and hard to create tradition with. It's very hard, very
with
hard.
Kwanzaa?
Yeah,
Because it is.
because most people live with the paganistic calendar.
Okay.
And
Wow, you went really there with the pagan.
Isn't that what they call it?
The calendar. What is it? Okay.
The pagan calendar, no?
Yeah, but still, nobody calls it the pagan calendar unless you're trying to make a point.
I am. That's the idea. The pagan calendar, which was created obviously for pagans, I'm assuming. I don't know. But speaking of pagans, I watched. Love the segues. Speaking of pagans, I watched Caligula again.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That was a porno.
Pretty much. Pretty fucking gruesome.
It was wasn't it produced by the guy who did Penthouse Magazine?
Oh, I don't know that.
I think it was, yeah.
Oh, I don't know that. But what I say this to say, watching it again, we've always said this, watching things with adult eyes is so much different than when we grew up.
Yeah.
When we grew up, it was a porno.
Yes.
When now looking at it, this was a sadistic Caesar homo.
Well, he's considered to be like probably the most insane freaking Caesar
ruler.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Caesar Caligula.
Yes.
Oh my God. And of course, there was so many weird parts in the story that were so weird, but when you look at how today's society performs, and the fact that the gentleman, the first Caesar before him, had all these like lesions. And
they had him.
He was aided out. He had herpes and everything. He had every disease possible, and because of his sexual prowess.
Yes.
But my, a can of lard just sitting there waiting for this guy to stick his ring in and shove it up the guy's ass while he boned his wife. He didn't even give the guy the pleasure of making his virgin wife first.
Yes.
He had to be first.
Yes.
My oh my.
Yes. It was a horrible. It was a horrible thing.
Weird. But yeah. So other than that, you celebrate Christmas. Did you have a good Christmas? Did you?
I had a great Christmas.
Quiet, nice and
I had a great
simple?
Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm trying to reconcile it now because you went with Caligula. So I'm trying to like rebound. So maybe we need to take a break. Maybe we need to take a break for a bit.
We can take a break.
We can talk about some like how 2020 was in the world of hip hop.
Oh, so pray tell.
Well, I mean, I think 2020 was an interesting year in hip hop, and you know what? Let's stop bullshit because we've asked a friend of ours to join us.
Absolutely.
KB Tindal, he's the owner and creator of TENTTV, and we've asked him to hop on with us to talk about what happened in 2020 in the land of hip hop and what does he think is what we're going to be looking forward to. Let's bring him in.
Without no further ado, KB Tindal, y'all. KB, how are you?
KB, I think your volume's off, sir.
And we're gonna have to adjust some mics and cameras. There we go. Okay, hold on. We got some mic issues. I can't hear. We can't hear you. Mic check. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Oh, it had voice control. I hear that.
I hear that.
But I can't hear you. Your mic is not muted.
Well, we certainly can't talk about music if we can't
take your time.
link up the stream.
Take your time. Can we type a private chat? Take your time. Can we do anything? Can we can't control him.
No, we can't control him. You know what? I got the stream. Let me go on and make sure that we don't have.
Mic check, mic check. Can you hear me, Kate?
He can hear us.
Yeah, you can hear us. Let me try leaving and coming back. Okay. Try that. It has worked before. And he can hear us. As we continue on.
As we continue. Hold on. Let's try this for a second.
Oh, you're going to come on? But I don't see you popping in. You didn't. Did you enter the broadcast? Okay, you're going to enter the broadcast.
Yo.
Yeah, that's you.
Yo.
I don't know if I hear you from there or hear you from this. Why don't you go outside?
Mute us.
Yeah. KB, how you doing? No problem.
Nothing on the ear.
Okay. If you're in a MacBook, your Mac or PC? Hit your mic, hit your cam and mic setting. PC said, okay. Hit cam / mic setting.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay.
Cool breeze. Do you remember what you did?
Huh?
Do you remember what you did?
Yeah, I went to the audio and then I had to switch the audio on the microphone all the way down to microphone. There was 4 different settings.
There you go. There you go. My man. Good to see you, my friend.
Righty, man.
Good to see y'all too, man. What's going on? What's going on? We're here.
Man. I appreciate you waking up. I know it's 9 o'clock in the morning out there in Cali.
Yeah, man. It's a little early, but it's all good.
And I know that you Californians, you roll a little bit slower anyway. So I didn't know.
What's going on, brother?
Oh man, beautiful, man. Just beautiful to be alive, man. You
Absolutely.
know, in the midst of all this madness, all this 2020 madness, man. I'm just glad to be here.
Indeed. John segued you in, and want to segue him back in?
Yeah, 2020 has been an interesting year all the way around, and we've been catching a lot of the interviews you've been putting out on TENTTV and what you've been doing with Validated Magazine.
Right.
We just thought it'd be a good idea to get like an overview of what's been going on in the world of hip hop of 2020, and what you think we can be looking forward to in 2021.
I mean, this is a great year. I mean, first off, for me, the best rap album category for the Grammys for next year is a stellar category. I think when you get like Royce the 5'9" and Freddie Gibbs and Nas, all being nominated in the same category, I think that's a step, a step forward to what we've really been looking for. We've really been looking for the Academy to actually show love to some of the artists that we know should get the love, but they never give the love to. So I think that for me, that's the first standout point for hip hop for 2020. The second thing that's a standout, it's a bad thing, but it's also a standout is the amount of people the amount of artists that are dying. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You brought that up in one of your interviews. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, I think that the younger generation really needs to look at what's good and what's bad, what's right and what's wrong. When you're traveling to these different cities, especially if you're projecting an image, like a Pop Smoke image, you're projecting an image and you're affiliated with gangs and so on and so forth. I'm not knocking anybody for what they do, because most of the time they're just a product of their environment. Absolutely. You know what I mean? But when you do that, you need to step up your security. You need to step up people around you, and be extra careful. And it's sad because Pop Smoke had one of the best albums of 2020. This was a guy that came out on the drill scene. His album did really, really good numbers. I didn't even expect the album to be as good as it is.
As it was.
You know what I mean?
Do you attribute that to his posthumous? I mean,
I think it was part of it, but I think if he was here, I think the album still would have done good.
Well, Victory Lap did the same thing. I mean, there were so many fans of Nipsey Hussle posthumous.
Yeah,
people never listened to his music. They thought he was too West Coast for them. They thought he was too much of a category rapper, and him and like guys like YG, right? YG, Super Blood. But these guys all have a lane that people say, it's not my thing, until they become posthumous.
Right. I mean, I think of course it's posthumous. Yeah, but I agree with that. Yeah, definitely. Once someone passes away, of course, there's going to be a much bigger spotlight shined on that person.
Absolutely.
I mean, that happened with Big and Pac, almost 30 years ago. You know what I mean?
Somebody kills you.
For real.
But it is sad, and I really appreciate that episode of what you put out with who was the gentleman you were with on that?
That's my man MC Abe, man. He's based out of Japan.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Wow. And yeah, we've linked up. He used to live in California, and he moved out. He moved out to Japan, to work on his music and stuff like that. So that's like one of my co-partners that I get, and then sometimes I get my boy Candido to co-host with me on the Essence, which is my show. And I put it up on my website. I put it up on my YouTube, and I also run it through Validated as well. You know what I mean? So it's like a joint venture. Yeah.
So can you tell tell the Two Bro fans what your new venture is, your new podcast or your new show that you've been doing? Because we're really glad that you've done this.
Absolutely. We're on next week will be episode 13, and it's called The Essence. And The Essence encompasses everything about the culture, about hip hop. I don't really put it in a box, because depending on what's happening in current affairs and things like that, the topics can change, and what we cover can change. But primarily, I try to always relate it in some way to hip hop music. So yeah, that's what it is, man. It's The Essence, and it's on Validated Radio, which is Live 89 FM, and that's on it's live89fm.com. So it's an online radio station.
Yep.
And it's on Mondays and Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So there's a segment in between those 2 hours where I just jump in and do about 20 minutes to try to keep it light and keep it fresh, and keep it sparked. And that's what I'm doing, man.
Beautiful, man. That's awesome, man. So what are the other, since you're up to such a couple of episodes in, what have been some of the topics that you've covered? And as you mentioned, you're not trying to put it in a box, and as you said, current events kind of take place, so it's more real time than anything, if anything, right? So what other topics have you talked about?
Well, I think one of the most important ones that I talked about was when Pop Smoke passed away and when Chadwick Boseman passed away. And the legacy of these two guys, and Pop just being a young hip hop artist, but on the flip side of that, Chadwick being a very well respected actor, in his craft and in his culture of acting, and from what I found out, just doing a little bit of research on him and listening to other actors talk about him, he was like an actor's actor. You know what I mean? Like they really gave him, his props when he deserved them. And then to see what he did while he was still suffering from cancer, colon cancer at that, and then still be able to put on those magnificent performances and not sit on the pity pot and cry about it. Like he really, that's the mark of a strong man. You know what I mean? And I think that was very important to cover, on one of the episodes. And then another one which sparked some really good conversation was one that we did called Bars versus Hooks.
Bars versus Hooks.
So me being a bar heavy kind of guy, and then you have the younger generation who is more intent on mostly hooks and just having something to dance to and go to the club to. So that's you got to balance it out at some point. The music has to stay balanced, but I thought that was a good topic to have. Bars and Hooks was another one that we did.
You mentioned some, and John, please jump in anytime.
Sure.
I'm always fascinated when hip hop is at the apex of our conversation.
That's why I'm letting you go.
So I apologize if I seem to be.
I'm just glad to be in the room.
Commandeering the mic.
I'm just glad to be in the room. You want some water? You want some coffee?
No, I got my coffee here. So you mentioned something earlier, and I think it may have flew over some people's head. You mentioned the drill scene.
Right.
Now, a lot of people are very unfamiliar with that because they hear it in the YouTube videos, they hear about it, but they're not sure where it came from. As my understanding, the drill scene arrived from the UK.
Yes.
Not a lot of UK producers that were producing.
Yeah.
And Brooklyn kind of adopted it, or every city started adopting it and started rhyming over these free 99-cent beats that were coming out all over the internet. Do you have a different outlook on the drill scene?
No. You're absolutely right. I don't know a lot of the artists overseas per se by name, but I've heard a lot of the music. I know Ivarian Doll is one from the UK who's pretty dope that I'm up on. And then like you said, and then what happened is, like you said, it came over and it was mostly Brooklyn guys. It was like Fabio Foreign, it was Pop Smoke, and now Rowdy Rebel who just came home is gonna jump on that. You know what I mean? So it's like it was a whole bunch of Brooklyn guys that was actually doing it, 4 or 5 years ago. And now they're just starting to get the shine that they've been working for, all these years. But yeah, definitely started in the UK, and then over here people adopted it, and it's starting to blow up over here too. And it's something that I still kind of struggle with because New York has always been a city known for gritty, hardcore hip hop.
Yes.
And now we have these young guys that are really heavily into this drill scene. But I gotta give them their lane, man. This is what they're doing. This is what the generation wants, and I'm all for it, man. Absolutely.
So am I. I really enjoy. I don't knock any genre of music. I'm like you've said this before on our past. Show me your bars first, and like let me hear you spit. Let me hear what your talent is. And it's always confusing. We say this on our side that. Do you like the record sonically, or do you really like what they're saying, conceptually? And I think the youth have gotten sonic and sound kind of mixed together. The flow of like guys like Future that came out with a but he was saying calamari, French fries, 2 potatoes. He was saying like shit that didn't make any sense. Calamari Tuesdays, Sunday apple fries. And I was like, wait, what? What the hell is he saying? It sounds great. It goes with the beat, but
it's melodic. It's melodic stuff. And a lot of it is like that. And let me just backtrack a little. Like when we talk about drill, before Brooklyn even adopted it, it was people like Chief Keef over in Chicago that had adopted it prior to the dudes in New York.
Which is where I heard it first. Chicago guys, or G Herbo, Chief Keef.
G Herbo, right.
What's the other guy? Reese.
Reese was another one. Yeah. So all those guys did that. Yeah, and it just basically spread like wildfire over the past few years for these guys. You know what I mean? But yeah, like you said, Future would come out with something, and for the most part, it was like nursery rhymes, but the melodies were really good. And when they take those melodies and those hooks and they put them in a strip club, they come to life in a different way.
I'm telling you,
In a
it's so
completely
weird.
different way. Yeah.
Yeah, it was super weird, and I always, from coming from a lyricist side, or coming from a side of the culture that really embraced the quality of the message and then the words, the wordplay, the metaphors. Metaphors to me was a big thing. Like, we always wanted to hear, oh,
Yeah,
did you
man.
hear he said I'm slick like oil with something things that made you go to your thesaurus and look for stuff and be like, wait.
Exactly.
It's kind of the same thing. It's kind of the same thing when reggaeton took over, and like there was a love affair with the rhythm as opposed to the words.
I never thought of that.
So if you had that rhythm, you were down, even though sometimes you could play records back to back to back to back to back and think you're hearing the same damn thing.
True.
But there's 6 or 7 different artists with 6 or 7 different things. But we fell in love with the rhythm as opposed to falling in love with the lyrics.
Good point. Because I've heard records in other languages that I didn't understand, but I could bop to them.
Mm-hmm.
So when you hear like those drill UK records, a lot of them are Creole or Haitian. Like, a lot of them are Sapase guys. Like, there's a lot of those rappers that are like. Have you seen the movie The Gentleman?
No. Yeah, I have.
You seen the movie The Gentleman?
Yeah.
So you saw the rap group that was the criminal rap group that was filming everything with their GoPros. They were a drill group. Like, they were drill kind of. They speak Creole and that UK that kind of UK drawl, which you can't understand shit, but it sounds good. I guess that kind of goes with what you said with the cultural type of music, the reggae stuff, even the Caribbean, Jamaican music. By the way,
and you know what? It's always a genre of music that people look at and say, "What the hell is this?" until it gets popular. You know what I mean? Because with reggaeton, it was the same way. Like, I often hear Noriega from Capone Noriega. He often talks about how his segue from hip hop going into reggaeton, everybody told him he was crazy. Right. You know what I mean? Even his closest friends like Fat Joe and people like that were like, "Nah, bro, that's not a good look, man. That's not gonna look good."
We're not listening to that out here.
And when he did it, and then Daddy Yankee became like one of the biggest stars in the world, everybody was like, "Yo, he was wrong." You know what I mean? But that's what happens with good music. That's what happens with good entertainment. At the forefront, people are always going to be like, "Nah, that's not going to work because it's fresh and it's new," and they have no clue about how to market it or what to do with it, and they don't think people are going to get it. And then once people finally get it, it's like, wow, it's like the gates opened up for some. You know what I mean? So
when Bob Marley first started becoming popular, he was criticized because what he was doing was, according to them, not reggae music.
Right.
And now Bob Marley is considered the standard of what reggae music.
Exactly.
Like, we've moved away from that to saying what reggae music is. But when Bob Marley first came out, I said, "Wait a minute, you're using rock rhythms to do reggae music? True. Nah, that ain't reggae. Get out of here."
Yeah. And then you have created a new lane called dance hall, right? That's more of suburban, or the more ghetto
version
portion of the reggae music. So how do people like us in the room, or historians like yourself, how do you predict the next wave? Who saw this coming?
You know what, man? The next wave is always so hard to predict, man. You know, in hip hop, it's usually based on originality. It's usually based on something that a style of rap that nobody's heard before. You know, and that really blows up. Like when Fetty Wap dropped, you had never heard that kind of harmony, and automatically he blew. You know, even far back as when Nelly came out. When Nelly came out, people weren't doing the sing-songy rap styles and so on and so forth.
With the country slang, with the
country slang, the country grammar on top of it.
Because as you remember, really... sorry to cut you off. At that point with Nelly, good point you brought him up with. At that point in hip hop, we were making fun of those guys. We We were
Yeah.
clowning these guys
Yep.
when they said pop and
Yep.
finta and all that stuff. And when he came
Yep.
out with the grammar, it was like, oh shit, they made it cool.
When he came out and did 10 million, it
Yeah.
was like,
Good
it
old
changed
Cornelius.
the entire landscape of the
Mm.
culture, man. You
I
know,
agree.
and then
Carry on with your other point you were making. I'm sorry to cut you off.
I forgot what the point was, to be honest.
Some people.
but let me go. No, as a matter of fact, okay, I got you. So when Nelly came out, you actually said it. But when Nelly came out, you know, people weren't doing the sing-songy kind of rap style, and then all of a sudden the songs blew up, and people were like, "Wow, this is great!" And he crossed over immediately. Immediately on that first album, he crossed over. You know, and then people were like, "Wow, this is something that we should be paying attention to." But the same thing happened. Same thing happened when Nelly came out. It happened when 50 Cent came out.
Yep.
You know, like no, like we knew from listening to 50 and listening to mixtapes in New York how dope 50 was. But when that album Get Rich or Die Trying dropped and he completely went global off the strength of that first album, it once again it changed the landscape of the music. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
true. I think we see
artists. I think we see artists like that maybe once every 5 to 7 years. We'll see somebody pop up that will do that. That will change the landscape of the entire culture.
You know,
it doesn't happen often though.
Prior to 50 Cent's, like you mentioned, you know, I always got to take the comic book approach to this. There would be no 50 without Ja Rule. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the Ja Rule era of that singing and crooning style was so global, was such a phenomenon, because you harmonize those hooks, even though he had the little what Oscar the Grouch at some point, you know, but it became such a, you know, Gotti was so visionary in hearing that part of a lane that was kind of untapped, and for, you know, Mr. Glass to come in and try to say, oh, now I know who I am because of you, you know, like that's what I'm just looking at it from comic books perspective.
Yeah.
But you know, that he kind of then beat him up for it and said, I could do it better than you. And, you know, he started singing, you know?
Yeah.
And so like you mentioned, or like we said before, it starts with you know the term criticism is flatter. What is it?
Criticism is the highest form of flattery.
Yeah. You know, he had to have been flattered by it in order to criticize it, to mock it, or to copy it, because he did it.
Yeah. I agree. I definitely agree. And even I often look back at that time and look at the stronghold and the chokehold that Murder Inc. had on the music industry at that time. And if it had just been the 50 battle, they probably would have been able to survive it.
Yes.
But when they had the feds on top of them at the same time, totally different. Ball game over. You know what I mean?
Yeah. People were involved.
Yeah, it crushed the empire, and they really just couldn't come back from that. But Ja has hits that will never go out of style. That man, he will tour off of his music until he doesn't want to tour anymore. You know.
Indeed.
50 is probably the last hip hop phenom we've seen, as far as like came in, you know, kicked it down because the model was different.
Yeah. Okay.
The model was different. It was based on record sales, and it was based on airplay. That model is a totally different model now, and so it almost seems like you almost can't have a 50 again.
I don't think you'll ever get a 50 again. As well, I can't say ever, but but it's going to take somebody that can pull. I think the closest you're getting to a 50 right now would probably be Griselda. It'd probably be like Benny the Butcher, somebody who can actually really rap, but keeps it so street that you just know that's what he's going to give you. You know,
and dudes like Benny when we talked last time, you hit me up as to what was going on in Buffalo, and then you started listening to those dudes in Buffalo, and they don't give a fuck.
They don't. They don't.
I mean, something about cold weather, man. It's just like, look,
makes you tough.
I'm
man.
too hard for this. I really don't give a shit if you don't.
I don't give a shit. Exactly.
I'm putting out here. You want to put it on the radio? I don't give a fuck. Fuck you. Yeah. These are my bars. They're tight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I a lot of respect for that crew, and I think that when you look at that era, that landscape of where the music comes from. But just to get back to that point of the 50 being the last, I think he's the last rapper turned mogul. I think rapper turned entrepreneur. I don't think we'll see that again. I don't think.
Yeah, I think it'll be. I think we'll see it again. I just don't see anybody there right now that I can say is going to do that.
Yeah,
I think Drake has the ability to do that. I think the biggest artist we've seen blow up since 50 would probably be Drake. And
Drake
being
is the LL Cool J to me. Drake is like our
right, exactly.
LL Cool J.
Exactly. You know, he's got good looks. He's talented. He comes from an acting background from Degrassi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the logical next step is, okay, once I'm a little bit tired with music, where am I going to go?
Right.
And he's already done production on a few. Like there's a show called Euphoria that he's done some production on.
Right. That's right.
He's involved with that?
Yeah, he's involved with the second season of it. So already he's starting that foray back into where he originally comes from. You know what I mean? As far as the acting is concerned. So I think we can see a lot more on the forefront from him as far as that's concerned, going back into Hollywood and doing what he wants to do there. Yeah.
What do you think of Da Baby? Not Little Baby, but Da Baby.
I was rocking with the Baby when he called himself Baby Jesus.
Yeah.
So I was listening to him, I can't say that. No, let me stop. I'm gonna say maybe 3 years.
Okay.
About 3 years ago. But he's only been like in the spotlight maybe like the past year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I was up on him before that. I just think right now, I think John said it, he said you can hear 6 or 7 songs in a row and think they're all the same song because they all sound, a lot of stuff sounds the same nowadays. That's the one thing that I got a pet peeve about, the fact that everything sounds alike. You know?
My pet
in our era, things sounded different. You know what I mean? J. Rue the Damager didn't sound like Gangstar, and Gangstar didn't sound like Cool G Rap. And, you know what I mean? You know? But I like the Baby though. I like the Baby. I think he's a hell of a performer.
Absolutely. I think he's a modern day phenomenon, great entertainer. But my problem with him is that he's POE, right? He's product of environment. He can't stay away from the streets.
Yeah,
you can't separate it. He's still punching guys in the face at hotels and grabbing people and snuffing people. He's still.
I mean, in his defense, he hasn't had an incident in a little while now. It's been a little while. I think he's getting better.
Was just over September, I believe. That's not that long ago.
But I think he's getting better. I think he's starting to realize that, like, if I want my money to continue to flow, then I can't continue doing these street things because promoters are not going to want to book me.
True, but what I am seeing from him is his entourage is getting super big. He's employing a lot of people, which is always a downfall sign from what we've seen in the past. When you got 50 guys, 60 guys on payroll, and you have no idea what they do, but you're cutting these guys checks, and they're going back to the hood and flipping their own little per diem that you give them, or whatever little crumbs you give them, and they're turning that into a lifestyle or whatever else, and they want to maintain it. That's a problem because those things come back on you, because in the crowd they say it was the Baby who snuffed me, and it was his man, or it was somebody in the entourage, or somebody that
he's always going to be the mark, because they go for the mark because the mark is the one that's got the money to pay them in court.
There you go.
So it's always going to be exactly. It's always going to be that way. I mean, but what I'm looking forward to from the Baby is, maybe not on his next album, but maybe the album after that. Some growth lyrically and storytelling wise, because if you listen to some of his early stuff, he was on that. He was on storytelling. He was on giving you pieces of his life and really opening up that door so you can see him as an individual.
And his videos got great.
Then when he got popular, everything just started to sound the same.
Yeah. I loved his videos. He came out to me like the Eminem type, where we were missing the Eminem, the Buster, the characterized videos.
Right. Yep. He did a couple like that
too. Fun to watch.
Fun, right?
He did.
So Buster, Eminem,
animated guys, very
animated. Those videos are so good to watch. That they're not just a guy like waving. Like Nas to me is a horrible performer when it comes to just waving. He just waves his hand. His lyrics are so ill, but he never has a theme. He never has a fucking, it's just, you know what I'm saying?
Nas has always he's been like that since day one, man.
I know, and that's what I get now. But look at what happened when Puff got him. When Puff made him do the "Hate Me Now."
Yeah,
that was fly. That was bananas. So it does have merit. Like guys like Puff do have merit for what they bring to an artist development, which we don't have anymore, right? We don't have artist development. We don't have anyone making you a star. I mean, Puff was the guy that made you a star. He made you. He did that to Mike Geronimo. He did it to. He did it to all his artists. He made them stars. You know.
Yeah. I mean, and it's weird, you know, that Puff gets a bad name when it comes to stuff like that sometimes too, about publishing and things of that nature. You know, but at the end of the day, if you look at any artist that's ever been under Puff's reign, maybe they're still not with Bad Boy, but at one point they were under the spotlight and they had a chance. They had a chance more than anybody else had a chance. They had a chance to become a superstar. You know what I mean? That's one thing that Puff gave. Black Rob, yeah.
What's the other guy? The other went to jail. G-Dep. Who the fuck would have ever heard of G-Dep if it wasn't for Puffy doing what he did? Get the locks for Christ's sakes. You know, turning them into mega stars. You know, which is, and some guys just have it organically, like the Griselda Gang and those guys. I mean, they're just an organic group that will have wrote their own future. Right. They're creating their own lane in their history. You know, Conway is definitely a pinnacle on the rapper side, but Conway is just a fucking amazing. He's that King to a God album. That King to a God album is flawless. I mean,
a good body of work, man. A solid body of work, man. You know, I mean, and just on a somber note, like I want to also, you know, give a rest in peace to Ecstasy from Houdini, man. You know, that was a hard one, you know, to take. He was only 56 years old, you know, and I mean, I can remember coming home from school and watching Video Music Box and seeing their video every day, and like you know, like all day just waiting to get home to watch Video Music Box just so that I could see
the theme itself. The Video Music Box theme itself.
The theme itself is all Houdini. Yeah. Sure. So,
but guess who was that producer though? You remember? You know who that producer was? I'll give you a little trivia.
That produced that for? I know.
Larry Smith, Larry La.
Okay, yeah.
So
he did a lot of stuff back then, man. He did everything that was hot back then. Larry La had a hand in it.
He wrote Friends, he wrote all that stuff. He had a lot to do with the Houdini success. But shout out, that's a rest in peace, man. John Ecstasy Fletcher.
Yes, indeed, man. Absolutely,
56, man. What are we now seeing that? Are we not only the murder and the forced losses, but now we're gonna hit the age of the guys dying literally because of health,
getting sick
and age.
Yeah.
As I hear Curtis Blow is now in a very bad situation.
Well, I heard that he was, but then I heard that he came up out of it.
Oh, good.
I heard that Bismarck was in a bad place and came out of it, but then went back into a bad place where they really couldn't say much about it. And I haven't really heard anything about it in the past week or two. So hopefully Biz and Curtis Blow are all right, man. But yeah, we're at this point, man, where it's inevitable. We're gonna get to a point where the forefathers of the culture, they're gonna start passing on. And that's the big thing. Like once they go, we got to make sure we got some torchbearers that can still carry this culture, and not let it get overrun by the vultures, per se. Right.
Do we need, or maybe you could clarify this? I don't know if we have it. Do we need a hip hop Hall of Fame, or do we just go with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or do we a regular music hall? Is it just regular music now, or do we need a separate category for us?
I believe there's a hip hop Hall of Fame, or somebody trying to start one in the Bronx, and then there's one, and then there's a few, I believe, and then there's one.
That guy's just a museum, though. He just has a museum, I believe. I don't think he has any type of like. Okay, let's talk about.
I know Geechee Dan from Hollis. I did an interview with Geechee, and Geechee has one in DC that they have, which I believe they're calling it like a hip hop Hall of Fame / museum type of thing. But I think that we should be inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yes.
because that's the staple, quote unquote, for music. But I also think that yes, we should have our own hip hop Hall of Fame where we can celebrate our stars and give them their flowers, while they're here, or even the ones that are gone.
Well,
You know,
we're at the
yeah,
point now.
we
They're going to be gone. I mean,
we need to have a place where people can come and see the history of the culture and see what was done, and how we got to where we are today. That's a big thing. I think we definitely need that.
We talk about a time capsule all the time, and if we could bury some jewels and leave them for future generations, and they open it up like these cassettes that Bust 'em Up Kev has been fortunate to give me, and some records. And thank you for chiming in and reliving a part of that history, because it was so dope to hear stuff that you probably yourself have not even heard.
I did not even know Kev had that Monkey Hill recording. I had no clue he still had that. Bro. So when I heard that, I was like, wow, because that was the first time any of us was in an actual studio. First time we ever recorded. Like, yeah, man, that was, it was good to hear that, man. Hell yeah.
But it's so important to curate and capsulize, and I'm fortunate and I'm happy to take that role on for what people have claimed me to be, the archivist of just keeping all these documents and putting things and just trying to curate. And I think we need more people to curate the culture than to be a part. Like, we don't need more rappers. I mean, I'm saying there's nothing stopping people from becoming rappers, but you need more people to do the things like you're doing with writing and documenting history. This gentleman who produced the evolution of hip hop on Netflix, have you seen?
Yes.
Fantastic.
I've seen
all three, right?
He's had 3 different parts out of it right now.
It's fantastic. Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Really good. Yeah, no, that he did a really good job on the history. I would love to be involved with something like that with probably like a Geechee Dan, because Geechee has so much knowledge. His tape catalog is deep. I'm talking over 400 tapes of parties and jams that happened throughout New York City, and he's interviewed artists that you probably wouldn't even know that were DJs and rappers back then. You know what I mean?
I love it.
I myself have an extensive collection of hip hop magazines and memorabilia dating back over 30 years that I'm gonna start to release from the archives a little bit here and there. But yeah, stuff like that, man. I think the story has to be told, man. You know what I mean? It has to be told. Like a perfect example of that is I just watched Ma Rainey's Black Bottom on
we're
Netflix.
watching it today. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, on Netflix. And that was the story of the blues, and Ma Rainey was one of those people that we never really heard about. True. But people derived, took from her style and derived their own style, and blues music eventually blew up. But she was one of those people that was there in the beginning, and she demanded her respect as a Black woman. It didn't matter who she spoke to or where she was at, and she took what she wanted. You know what I mean? So that's a story that needs to be told. Yeah. So 30 years from now, 50 years from now, there's gonna be a hip hop story that needs to be told. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that's what we need to focus on, those things. So when it comes later on down the line, those things are there for people to feel and touch and get some enlightenment from, absolutely.
Do you think that's the way to caramelize history, through the Hollywood lens, through the movie or documentary side? I mean, those things seem like they will last a longer time. You can still watch 1970 movies, 60s movies. So I think you're right. Maybe that is the way to caramelize this whole capsulation of history. And
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. I mean, all of my favorite artists that I really listen to, I would love to see biopics on those guys. You know what I mean? I don't think it should be just left to just one, like NWA or whatever, or Tupac, whatever. I think there should be one done on Big. I think that in 10 or 15 years, there should be one done on Jay-Z. There should be one done on Nas. Like, that's the only way we're gonna, because technology moves so fast that, if it's on TV or if it's on Netflix or something like that, it's easier for people to grasp a hold to it than for people to go and listen to that person's music if they're not already a fan, right? I think it's easier. I know it is for me. Like, if there's a movie or something out about something that I want to know about, it's easier for me to go and look at that documentary or that movie and get the info and then backtrack to the
Take
music
back in history,
or the
right?
videos.
And then
It's
go to
easier
the
to,
archives.
yeah, absolutely.
There's a very interesting artist from way back when, that Riv, God bless it, rest in peace, brother Rhythm put me on to years ago, where he was so fascinated with Pig Meat Markham. And this guy was, when they say the first rapper, I mean, Pig Meat Markham to me was like the first rapper. I mean, he
Here come
had
the judge.
Here come the judge. Here come the judge. So Riv would play these over and over, and he would get that rhythm and timing from Pig Meat Markham. And I watched him do it, and you know, he was just, I was like, what is this guy talking about? I don't know what he, all these little, these, you know, to me, which I thought at the time they were kind of what do you call them, Sambo type stuff. They were
and
sort of, they were poking it, shuck and jive. They were poking their face out and doing the yes sir, no sir, you know. And me being a young guy, I was like, why are you watching this? This is horrible. Like, we don't look like that. And he was like, nah, you don't get the rhythm of it, which he always embodied himself with rhythm. So,
I mean, Rhythm was one of those, he was that diamond in the rough, man. He was that dude that, you know, as a friend, man, he was just one of the best friends you could possibly ever have. You know what I mean? I mean, I got stories of me being in the middle of some street wars and some shit and making a phone call, and Rhythm will pull up and grab 5 or 6 people from the neighborhood, pull up on me, like, you know, like he was just a good dude, man. You know what I mean? Like one of those people that just have great energy around you. Anytime you see them, they got great energy. They got a smile on their face. You know, he was that guy, man. You know,
I don't ever remember seeing him really mad or anything like.
Yeah, me neither, man.
I don't remember having a mad moment about him, except for when they dealt with these women that drove him crazy. You know,
and he wasn't a womanizer type either.
No,
you know
no,
what I mean?
no. He was loved hard. He loved hard.
He loved hard, man. Yeah.
But he loved his crew. And that record I have, Breaking Up to Break Down, which was a very good record of where he explains that you argue about me, but because I want to hang with my crew, instead all I do is sit around with you. You know what I'm saying? Like we just sit here and do nothing. And it's like, I could be out with my crew. We can have fun. Like, you don't like to have fun. You can sit here and do nothing.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so it's impressive that your lane of what you're doing with validated with your whole essence. We'd love to see more of this, and we hope you keep it going.
Oh yeah, man. I plan to, man, definitely. I mean, Validated's been a good outlet for me. I've been able to cover some really dope artists. You know, most recently Graf from Queens. Who's a heavy spitter.
Lives around the corner, by the way. He lives right here.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So Graf, and then and also Problem from the West Coast, from out here. You know, just a dope producer, a dope MC. You know, so when I come to the table, man, with the experience that I have and the connections that I have and the way that I feel about the culture, you know, the love that I have for it. That's what I pour out on the page. You know what I mean? When I'm writing, man. You know, I always try to get that across, that look, this is not just for some kind of fly by night recognition or something like that. Like, this is really what I do. This is really what I enjoy. This is really what I love. So to have some of my words, you know, immortalized in print or online, like, that's just, it's a great thing, especially when it's done with artists that I really respect.
That's dope. That's dope, man. And we appreciate you. We love to give you your flowers while you're still here. And we hope that someone is as inspired by what you're doing and doing it themselves, you know. And that's kind of hard. Like, where are those next KBs? Like, who's the next guy to come up and do what you're doing?
You know, I mean, at this point, I mean, I don't have anybody that I can put a finger on. You know, but there are some journalists that are out there now that are doing their thing. I mean, but writing about hip hop is an important thing, but it's also one of those things where you got to walk that fine line. Because I've been in a situation where I've written things about an artist or about somebody on a hip hop platform and got a phone call or got an email or something from from that person. Like, nah, you got something wrong. You know,
Wow.
like, and that happens. I think, and I think it happens in hip hop more than it does in a lot of other genres. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because hip hop artists are they're so sensitive, bro.
Mm.
It's sensitive as hell. You know, like you say one wrong thing or something's misspelled. I mean, of course, as a journalist, those are things that you're supposed to take care of and do your research before you put the piece out.
Absolutely.
But sometimes shit happens, you know?
Shit happens all the time. But you know, no different than any corporation or any brand that wants to make sure. Like, I work with people in the clothing industry, and it's like, yo, every little thing, and I'm like, dude, it's not that serious. It's just no, it's the brand. It needs to look like this. It needs to be like. So it's not wrong to demand that level of quality. And I'm gonna segue a little bit right now from talking about the clothing stuff, because New York, the Knicks had their home opener last night. They featured the new city uniforms, which were designed were designed by Kith, the clothing giant Kith. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
I have a beef with them personally, which I won't talk about here, but they produced the garments last night, and the fucking thing was wrong. They had one number on the front and one number on the back. The two different numbers. That's horrible. That's horrible for you to produce and come out. Yeah, we're Kith. We're the best name brand. And now you produce a sports garment. Now they cleaning it up, saying, well, we're not really a sports apparel. We're streetwear. You can't do that. You can't get both. You fucked up.
Did you see the Kith commercial with Dipset?
No, I did not. They
did a promotional commercial with Dipset, showing some of their latest releases and the collaboration that they did with the New York Knicks. But I didn't know that they did the uniforms. I didn't know that.
They got the rights to do the uniforms. They look okay. It's not what I would have did for new. And I have a design that I worked on that I didn't get. You know, you don't know the right people that can get you to the front of the line. And I'm not a giant like these guys are. And I was looking at it from hey, we're promoting small business. Why don't you like take some more applications from local guys that have really got their pulse on New York City. And I don't take anything away from them. They have earned their props. Dude was from Cardozo High School here. They're from the area. They're from New York, and they deserve the platform they got. My beef with them is more competitive than anything, and it's like I'm the one stopping myself from getting at that level. But I say this to say is that you had your broad debut. You come out, and one of the players has one number on the front and a different number on the back, which almost cost them a technical foul. Like, you almost changed the game because you couldn't get the numbers right. Like,
you mean like the uniform number? Like, if Jordan was wearing 23, there was a 2 on the front and 3 on the back.
23 on the front and 25 on the back. And they had to get him out the game. They had to stop the game, change his uniform, all of that.
Shit.
Sponsored by uniforms by Kith. Yeah, great commercial for you guys.
Wow.
But that's what we talked about. Paying attention to the details of your brand and what you're putting out there and how meticulous you have to be. To me, someone was so enamored by this group and this company coming in. Yeah, they do great. Oh, the streetwear. We're so in tune, and they missed the detail.
They missed it. Yeah.
The uniform guy, the equipment guy, whoever's job.
That's a big blunder. That's a big stage to make that mistake on, man.
And thank God, no fans in the arena. But guess what? It was a TV game, and it's on. It's on. And now it's caramelized in history. And they're gonna say, "Well, we didn't do it. It was the company who did it for us, and we did." Take
ownership of it. Who got fired?
Right.
I know, right?
Somebody got fired. Somebody down the line.
Somebody got fired. Hey, Street Equity should have did your uniform.
Right.
Hell yeah.
That's your commercial.
Street Equities. Let them get that.
Equities. We get the numbers right.
Right.
That's right.
Street Equities. See the number on the front? Same as the one on the back. StreetEquities.com.
Oh man, KB, this has been a blast, man. We always like having you on
Thank
our
you, man.
show. And
I love being here, man.
Man, we love what you're doing. Thank you for getting up, rise and shine on the Cali's time.
Absolutely.
Left coast, the West Coast. What's in the future for you? Are you doing more projects like this? I mean, you're gonna keep the ball rolling.
I mean, I'm keeping my foot in the industry. I'm keeping a foot in the door. I'm always going to do journalism. You know, it's something that's close to my heart.
Yeah.
And ever since, you know, I've gotten too old to be a rapper, you know, like, like the journalism is what keeps my foot in the door, you know, and I still get to show artists that I really rock with, you know, I still get to show them a lot of love, but what's next is what I really want to do is I want to do some screenwriting. I want to do some screenwriting. And I have numerous ideas. I mean, you saw the timeline when you and Kev were talking in the chat, you know, there's so many different stories that we could tie into, you know, a 10-part series or, you know, something like that.
I had to turn my notifications off because Ronnie started chiming in and you guys are all getting bright eyes and bushy. And I was like, I love the energy. And you know what? Listen, I'm saying this now and I'm not giving myself the credit, but you got to push the snowball down the hill and start it. Once you get, when 3 people have it in their heads, now you got to do something about it.
That's exactly what I told Kev after we chatted about it for a while. I was like, look, bro, I said, we already know we have the characters, we have everything that we can build with. It's just a matter of starting the writing and putting something down on paper and getting it going. And I know that feeling more than he probably knows it, because as a journalist, like, I know when I'm sitting on an article on an interview that I've done with an artist, and my deadline is not until 60 days away, but the interview's already done. I'm like, well, damn, do I really feel like sitting here writing a 5,000-word article? No, that's the most tedious part of what I do. But at the end of the day, if I don't get in front of my computer, if I don't open up that Word document, and if I don't start typing, it never gets done. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So, and this guy over here needs to get involved because he's a great writer. He's a great how do you say dictionist? He's always getting me on grammar and all this other good stuff. Such a scholar, and I really wish this comes to fruition, and I believe it will. I believe we can get a couple of episodes out of this thing.
I think we can get more than a couple of episodes, man. I think we have so many characters from where we grew up. You know, not that they would be like the focal point of the whole episode, but there's so many pieces and people we could just dump in at different points and places, you know, inside an episode or inside a series, you know, that's 10 episodes long. You know what I mean? Like
Mr. Bob. Just think about Mr. Bob alone.
Yeah, man.
This fucking, I swore he was hacking a lady up in the basement or something. Like we made up so many stories about this last white man on Hollis. Like it was like the last white guy.
That's crazy.
Celery sodas. You know, this guy was weird.
There's
you know,
too many stories around.
And he had a bicycle pump, which everyone came to his house for. Incredible. But you're right.
Yeah.
There's so many stories. They need to be documented. And I'm all in. I'm all for it. And I think we can do it. Great minds think alike, and we can all put our heads together and come up with something.
Yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want to do. I mean, I ended off, you know, the chat with Kev yesterday. I was like, we need to all collaborate. We need to sit down. If we have we all get together on a platform like this, and we all can see each other. We can just talk. We can throw ideas out there. And then it's just a matter of putting those ideas together. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And then we can meet up every month or every 2 months or whatever and pass more ideas down and tweak things and so on and so forth. And just try to get it to the point where we can present it to some places. You know what I mean? And right now, presenting things to places like Netflix and Hulu, it's at an all-time high, man. Content is at an all-time high, man. They're looking for it every day. They're like, yo, we're looking for stories like that. You know what I mean?
You're right. So you're right, man. But we'll keep the pressure on. Keep your foot on their neck.
Absolutely.
We'll keep watching. We'll keep chiming in. And again, we're thankful, so grateful to have you here, my brother.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Enjoy your have a blessed week. I know you have. How was your Christmas, by the way? We forgot to
ask.
My
Christmas was fantastic, man. My Christmas was great, man. It was, I've never been a real huge holiday person, man.
Yes.
But as long as my kids are good, man, that's what makes me happy. You know what I'm saying?
Well, so there's hope for the future, and that's what. There you go. That's what it's all for it, man.
That's what it's all about, bro. It's hope for the future. You got that right.
All right, KB. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me, brothers. Here, Thank you. We will do this again.
Good one, man.
All right, man. Be good.
That was awesome. That was KB
Tindal.
TENTTV. TENTTV Validated Magazine, and The Essence.
Which
is a great podcast or was it video cast or is it maybe?
He doesn't own video.
Yeah,
but it's it's a great little like snippet of
Yeah,
like
I love
a
it.
particular topic, and then it introduces some names that we probably that probably aren't household names and whatnot. But he introduces it, and he's more of like you said, he's more like current events based. And so how does this affect going on in hip hop? I love what KB's doing, man.
I love it. I love it. We need more of it, and I'm so happy and so proud that these are guys that we grew up. KB
Yeah.
gave me my first black eye.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did. He gave me my first black eye. We were wrestling in the attic.
Oh, that's right. That's
and
right.
He, beep, beep, and his hand went through and punched me in the
Man.
face.
Remember when we broke the wall, like the whole?
It was the same
the
day.
whole side wall
That was the same day.
caved, and
Yeah,
that was
almost
so much fucking fun.
Yeah.
Man.
And if you go look at that apartment now, you can't imagine us jumping around the walls.
because it looks small.
It's super.
It looks
small.
this big, and
It's
it's like,
this-
how the fuck did we all? There was like
I remember
6 of us in
jumping
there.
from ledges. I remember
jumping from bed to bed, jumping off
Crazy.
the thing, hiding in the closet.
Crazy.
Like, ah!
so crazy, so crazy. The things we do as kids.
Oh man.
Oh man. So this has been a great episode. Now we hope you enjoyed our guest KB Tindal. Go on over to check him out at Validated Magazine. And man, thank you for watching.
Two Bros Podcast episode 117.
Dot.
Did we confirm it's 117? It is 117.
It is 117.
Okay, it
Yeah,
is
116 was the
I
last
just want to make
version.
sure we get this shit right.
Nah, we get it right up.
Yeah, so as we say always, be a blessing to somebody else.
Oh, fuck 'em.
Ah, we switched it up on you. You see how we did the thing? We switched it. Aha.
Hey.